Hey gang, welcome back to I Dream of Indie. Old Gamer Joe is here with you today for another review. We're looking at Urban Trial Tricky on the Nintendo Switch exclusively for now. It is $13.49 on sale currently, but it is normally listed at $14.99. This one comes from developer and publisher Tate Multimedia. I must admit I was not aware, but this is actually a series of games. I had not played the previous entries, which include Urban Trial Freestyle and Urban Trial Playground, but having now spent quite a few hours here with Urban Trial Tricky, I wouldn't mind going back and checking some of those out. This game's interesting because it reminded me of two different series fused into one. Tony Hawk in terms of the tricks that you can perform in the title, and Trials in terms of your movement. Holding down the ZR button will allow you to accelerate your bike forward, while holding the ZL button will allow you to reverse. So the game takes place on a 2D plane. If you're familiar with Trials, you'll feel right at home with the general movement. You will eventually come up against a wall or a half pipe or something that stops your progress, and you might need to reverse course. You'll do that by pushing the A button, which allows you to spin your bike around and head back in the other direction. You can also make your bike hop a bit by pressing the B button and holding it down and then releasing it, especially going off of larger ramps will allow you to catch more air. Then the real fun starts while you are airborne, as you can utilize tricks that you have equipped, and you can unlock more as you progress, collecting stars across the different levels by completing certain goals. These tricks are attached to the Y and X buttons on your controller, and you'll want to utilize them carefully because if you're still using a trick as you land, you will be penalized and your combo will be broken. You want to land smoothly, not in the middle of a trick. Of course, you'll also be able to pop some wheelies and even utilize the front of your wheel, trying to carefully balance on that, and you can even access tricks while doing so, pressing down the Y or X buttons again. So this is where, again, to me, this game sort of felt like a Tony Hawk title, trying to keep your combo going. You don't want to break it in order to rack up the biggest score possible. Urban Trial Tricky does feature over 30 levels for you to mess around in. Collecting items as well will allow for you to reach certain goals, but the main idea generally is either to compete in a time trial, perform a high score run. There's also some sub-goals for you to check out, including having to perform certain tricks a set number of times. So yes, while it is a little disappointing that the game is single player only, there is at least a ton of content, and it's going to take you a long time to reach all of your goals, as well as unlock all of the different unlockables that are in this game. As you try to collect more and more stars on each run, you'll use these stars as well as a different currency to unlock new helmets, new bikes, and other fun perks. It did take me a little getting used to get these controls down, but once I did, it's an absolute blast. I was never the best Tony Hawk player in the world, but this feels really good and responsive for sure. It wasn't long before I was sucked into the loop of trying to beat my previous score over and over again, get that one more star. It is difficult and challenging, but it's a lot of fun every time. I really did enjoy the nice clean look of Urban Trial Tricky. There's a lot of detail in the backgrounds, and I appreciate that each level does have unique obstacles from one another for the most part. I will say it's a little bit disappointing that there's not more characters to choose from in the game outside of the gender of that character, but you do at least get some different skins. That said, this is a nice title to look at with a great aesthetic, and it targets 60 frames per second as well, mostly hitting that target, though there were a few frame rate hiccups here or there. It wasn't anything game breaking. There's also a really good driving soundtrack that backs the presentation of this game. Lots of good beats, very rhythmic. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's probably what you would be expecting in a title like this, but that's not a bad thing. It's really well orchestrated, and the character sounds are also a lot of fun too. I enjoyed the sound of my bike zipping about back and forth, and my character's squeals when he would take damage or wipe out were amusing every time. If you're a fan of Trials and you happen to like Tony Hawk as well, Urban Trial Tricky is an easy recommendation. It's actually a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I wasn't the best at it, and it took me a while to get accustomed to the controls, but eventually I was sucked into the gameplay loop. It's a blast shooting for the various goals that are scattered across the levels. Linking together combos feels really satisfying, and the look and sound of the game is also very inviting. I do wish there was a multiplayer component here, and eventually you will run out of things to do, but it will be a long while until that happens, and you'll still have a lot of fun even long after you've completed the game, just messing around and still trying to perform the best tricks. Urban Trial Tricky has great arcade action and is a ton of fun to play. I definitely recommend checking this one out. So will you be busting out some awesome tricks in Urban Trial Tricky? Let us know in the comments below, and if you've enjoyed our content today, please do consider pressing the subscribe button to help us bring a voice to the voiceless ones in gaming. There's also a ton of other ways to support us down in the description box, so please feel free to do so. However you end up supporting I Dream of Indie though, we thank you so much for doing so.